When a three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion speaks, the entire sport listens. When that same champion calls out NASCAR directly by name, on camera, in front of every reporter at Talladega Superspeedway, the sport doesn't just listen. And that's exactly what Joey Logano just did. After getting collected in the worst Big One Talladega has seen in years, the Team Penske driver dropped a bombshell that has every NASCAR executive scrambling. What Logano said about the next-gen car isn't just criticism. It's a public indictment, and the words he used are now spreading through the garage like wildfire. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because the fallout from what Logano just said is going to dominate NASCAR conversations for weeks. Now, let's break down exactly what happened and why this might be the moment that finally forces NASCAR to act. But before we get to Logano's exact words, you need to understand the context, because this wasn't a random rant from a frustrated driver. This was a calculated, deliberate statement from a three-time champion who has had enough. And what he said next in that same interview is the part nobody is talking about. April 26th, 2026. Talladega Superspeedway. The Jack Links 500. Joey Logano was running well. He had a competitive car. His teammate Ryan Blaney was nearby. The number 22 Ford was in position to challenge for a top 5 finish. Maybe even a win. Logano knows Talladega. He's a three-time winner at the track. This is his playground. Then on lap 115, the big one struck. Bubba Wallace got pushed by Ross Chastain. Wallace's number 23 Toyota turned sideways at nearly 200 miles per hour. The pack stacked up behind him with absolutely nowhere to go. 26 cars collected. But here's where it gets real. When Logano climbed out of his car and faced the cameras, he didn't give the standard post-wreck quote. He didn't say, "That's just Talladega." He didn't say racing incident. He didn't shrug it off the way drivers usually do. Instead, Joey Logano went on the offensive. And the words he chose were not subtle. The exact quote he gave is the one that's now being replayed across every NASCAR social media account. And once you hear it, you'll understand why this isn't just frustration. This is a champion drawing a line in the sand. "Stay with me," Joey Logano told reporters, quote, "You have round bumpers and unstable cars, and cars that you're able to pop the air bubble real easy and get to each other's bumper," he continued. "But when you get there, you've got to be careful because they're not stable." 2 basketballs. That's how a three-time Cup Series champion just described the next-gen car. Not race cars. Basketballs. Round, unstable, impossible to control. But that wasn't even the worst of it, because Logano kept going. He said, quote, "What do you want? Save, fuel, or crash? Pick one. That's what it feels like right now. Save, fuel, or crash? Pick one." Read that again. That's a champion telling NASCAR in public, on camera, that the current state of superspeedway racing has been reduced to a binary choice between cowardice and catastrophe. There's no middle ground anymore. There's no skill. There's no strategy. Just fuel saving or destruction. Now, let's talk about why this is such a big deal. Because drivers complaining about cars isn't new. Every era of NASCAR has had its critics. But there are 3 reasons Logano's comments are different. Number 1, Logano isn't a driver who speaks loosely. He's a former champion with 3 titles. He's the president of the NASCAR Drivers' Council. When he speaks for a lot of people who don't have the same platform. Number 2, he was specific. He didn't say, "The cars feel weird," or "Talladega is dangerous." He named the exact problem: round bumpers, unstable platforms, air bubble vulnerabilities. He gave NASCAR a checklist. Number 3, the timing. This came directly after the most destructive big one in recent memory. 26 cars wrecked in a single moment, and the man making the diagnosis just lived through it. But here's what nobody in mainstream NASCAR media wants to admit. Logano isn't the first driver to say this. He's just the first champion willing to say it on camera. And the names of the drivers who have been saying it privately for over a year? You won't believe who's been complaining behind closed doors. The next-gen car was introduced in 2022. From the moment it hit the track, drivers raised concerns. Kurt Busch suffered a career-ending concussion. Alex Bowman missed multiple races. Cody Ware was sidelined. The chassis stiffness was a problem. The crumple zones weren't crumpling. The bumpers were too rigid. NASCAR responded with updates. They softened certain components. They redesigned the rear clip. They held mandatory meetings. But the core complaints from drivers that the car is unstable in dirty air, that it's prone to spinning under contact, that superspeedway racing has become a coin flip, those complaints never went away. They just went quiet. Until Joey Logano said them out loud at Talladega. So what happens now? Because NASCAR has a real problem on its hands. They can't ignore Joey Logano. He's too credentialed. They can't dismiss his comments as one-off frustration. The rec stats back him up. And they can't fix the car in the middle of a season. What they can do is what NASCAR has always done. Issue a vague statement, schedule a closed-door meeting with the driver's council, and promise to review the data. But every fan watching knows that's not going to satisfy anyone. Not after 26 cars got destroyed in a single corner. And here's the part that should make every NASCAR fan nervous. Because if Logano's diagnosis is right, if the car really is unstable at superspeedways, then what we just saw at Talladega isn't an outlier. It's a preview. And the next superspeedway race is coming sooner than you think. The Cup Series doesn't return to a true superspeedway until Daytona in August. But the pack racing problem isn't limited to Daytona and Talladega. Atlanta has become a third superspeedway-style track, the All-Star Race. The Coca-Cola 600, every drafting-style race for the rest of 2026 carries the same risk profile that Logano just called out. That means 26 cars in a wreck isn't a worst-case scenario anymore. It's a baseline. Until NASCAR addresses the round bumper, until they stabilize the car in dirty air, until they give drivers a real choice between racing and surviving, every superspeedway race is going to look like Sunday's chaos at Talladega. 3 things to watch going forward. Number 1. Will other champions back Logano up? Watch what Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski say in the next 2 weeks. If they echo his comments publicly, NASCAR will be forced to act. Number 2. Will NASCAR announce any in-season changes? Even minor tweaks would signal that Logano's words landed. And number 3. Watch the next pack race carefully. Because if the same problems show up, and they will, the pressure will only intensify. But there's one final detail from Logano's interview that nobody is reporting. A single sentence, he said, almost as an afterthought, that completely changes how we should view this whole situation. After he finished his criticism of the next-gen car, Joey Logano paused. And then he said, quote, "Until we fix that stuff, we're going to continue seeing it. Unfortunately, and unfortunately today, we were the ones that got caught up in it. We're going to continue seeing it." That's not just a complaint. That's a prediction from a 3-time champion about every remaining superspeedway race in 2026. Read between the lines. Logano just told the entire NASCAR world that more wrecks are coming, more drivers are going to get hurt, and more chaos is on the way unless something changes. And right now, nothing is changing. What do you think? Is Joey Logano right about the next-gen car? Should NASCAR make changes mid-season? And which other drivers do you think will speak up next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more NASCAR coverage, and check out the video on screen right now where we break down Tyler Reddick's dominant 110-point championship lead. You won't believe how big his gap has gotten. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.